Hey racers, and welcome back to another live stream. And today's live stream is how to build A-grade level fitness without training every day. So I was watching the Pro Motocross at Maitland for the third actual round I think, because the other one got cancelled. But I was watching those guys and I was thinking about most of the riders I work with, which is not those guys, okay? Most of the riders, hey Rick, most of the riders that I work with are day-to-day people, okay? Majority of the racers that I work with are riders that go to work, that have a family, hey Krista, that enjoy riding and racing, but it's not the thing that they're doing for a living. And the big difference between an A-grade racer, or not an A-grader, but a professional racer, and a racer that enjoys racing and it's a passion, it's a hobby and something you like to do well outside of work, is there's different amounts of time that you have to dedicate to training and different amounts of time that you have to dedicate to riding as well. So for a professional rider, they're spending a shit ton of time on the bike. Okay, they're riding a lot. It could be 4 times a week, 5 times a week plus that they're getting out on the bike doing motos. So a lot of the fitness that they build for riding and racing is done by riding the bike all the time. And that's what they should be doing because that's their job and that's what they get paid for. Unfortunately, for the majority of you, you're not getting paid to ride and race. So what that means is you have a much smaller window of time to dedicate towards your riding and racing. You still might want to get better at it. It still might be really important for you. And you've got goals that you want to work towards with your racing, but you just can't, you're not dedicating 8 hours a day, 10 hours a day, 12-hour days towards your racing. You're probably, hey Ben, you're dedicating 8, 10, 12 hours a day to your job, which allows you to go racing. So what that means is you've only got a much smaller window of time to work on things to improve your riding. And it also means you can't rely on your riding to improve your fitness because you're not doing as much riding. You're only going riding on the weekends. So what that means is the things that you do off the bike have to be really dialed in and really refined. More so than a professional racer or more so than an A-grader because their fitness program can afford to have little glitches in it because they're building majority of their fitness when they're on the bike anyway. For you, you're not able to do that. So everything has to be really dialed in with the gym work and the stuff that's happening off the bike to make sure that when you go and ride on the weekend, you're ready to rock and roll. So how do you build A-grade level fitness if you can't ride like an A-grader, okay, and ride all day, every day? Break it down into 3 areas for you guys. And shout out if you're on here or give the Facebook stream a like, helps to see who's on here. So I actually feel like I'm speaking to people rather than just talking to myself all the time in video. First thing is you need to work on making the bike feel lighter. Okay, now there's a few strategies you can use for that. Number 1, you can pull bits and pieces off the bike. I'm sure there's different carbon fiber bits that you can buy to make the bike feel lighter. Okay, and little bits and pieces that you can get. Now, that's only like a very small part of the equation, okay, because you can only do that once and there's not going to be too much weight you're going to save on most bikes these days. So that comes as 2 things. Is number 1, you can drop your body weight. Okay, so if you're overweight, 5 kilos, 10 kilos overweight, and you've got a few kilos that you need to lose, simply by just working on losing weight is going to make your job on the bike a lot easier. Because when you're riding the bike, you've got the bike weight and you've got rider weight to do with. So if your bike weighs 100 kilos and you're weighing 80 kilos, that's a total of 180 kilos that you've got to wrestle around or throw around. Now, we can drop the bike's weight, okay? We can by getting fancy parts. And then the other big thing is we can drop your body weight, okay? So by getting you lighter, that 180 kilos. So if you're 10 kilos overweight and you're 80 kilos and you should be 70 kilos, you can now move your overall moving weight that you have from 180 kilos down to 170 kilos. And what that means is that you've got 10 kilos less you need to throw around. So you're not going to use as much energy, you're not going to fatigue as quickly. It's going to be easier for you to be able to ride the bike because you're not having to work as hard because you don't have as much weight to move. The other side of the equation is once you've lost weight or as well as losing weight, hey Eddie, the other thing you need to work on is getting stronger. So when we look at making the bike feel lighter, everyone looks at the bike and looks at the rider and making those weights less. But the other way that you can work it is you increase the strength of the rider. Because if you increase the strength of the rider, that whole 180 kilos, 170 kilos of bike and rider weight now feels a lot lighter. Okay. So imagine if you doubled your strength over the coming months, when you come back to going riding, if you've got double the amount of strength, it's going to take half as much effort. Okay, you're going to use half as much energy. It's going to be a lot easier to ride the bike. So because you're using less energy and fatiguing less, you can ride harder for longer periods of time. Okay, so just remember there's both sides of the equation. We can try and decrease the weight of how the bike's feeling and rider weight, and then we can also increase the rider's strength to make the bike feel lighter as well. Okay, so it's not just actual weight we're trying to drop. So that's the first thing, make the bike feel lighter. Second thing, guys, is you need to have consistent technique on the bike. Now, if you're a professional rider and racer, you're doing a lot of bike time again, which is building fitness, but it's also building, so Ben's saying, I spent $7.5 grand on titanium and carbon fiber and saved 1 kilo. Cool. Sweet, thanks for sharing that, Ben. So consistent technique on the bike is obviously important for you to be able to do well and ride well. Now, to have consistent technique, number one, you've got to have reasonable technique to start with, okay? But what we're looking at here is consistent technique, okay? I'm not talking about whether your technique's good or bad. I'm talking about just being consistent with whatever technique you have, however much work you put into it, being consistent with that for a full ride or a full race. So this is where the cardio side comes in. Because what happens is a lot of riders have good skills or good technique on the bike, and they go to do coaching schools and they do great, and they go and work on their exercises when they go and practice, and that's awesome. But when they go and race, they have trouble implementing those skills into racing. And the big thing that comes up is they start off well at the start of the day or the start of a race, and as they fatigue through the race, those skills start to disappear. And they look like a completely different rider. And the reason that happens is because of fatigue. So it doesn't matter how good your skills are, if you're still fatiguing when you're riding the bike, those skills are going to deteriorate and they're going to drop off. So the way that we stop them dropping off is improving your breathing, improving your cardio. And the way that you improve your breathing, improve your cardio is a couple of ways. Now, to start off with, again, if you're a professional racer, you're going to be building a lot of your cardio and conditioning on the bike. You're going to be doing sprint work on the bike, which builds one energy system. You're going to be doing longer motos with the other part of your riding to work on another energy system. But if you're not a professional racer, you're not going to be riding 4, 5, 6 times a week to be able to do enough riding to be able to build those energy systems and build enough fitness just by going riding once a week. So the way that you do this is we've got to do it in the gym. So what I do with my guys is on the weekends, I get them to do their longer stuff or recommend that they do their longer stuff. Okay, so that's where we're building the aerobic energy system. Doing longer motos. If it's motocross, go and do your 20-minute motos and work on that and get plenty of bike time in the process. If it's enduros, go and do 2, 3, 4 hour rides to build your aerobic energy system and get your body used to do what it's doing on race day. Now, the other energy system that we need to build is our anaerobic energy system. So this is your short, sharp burst of high intensity energy system. This is like a motocross track when you're going through a really rough whoop section, or an enduro where you're going over like a log section or doing a really tough hill climb, okay? Or even like maybe a haddock, going through a whole heap of tough whoops, which is no shortage of those. So there's 2 energy systems there. Now you can train both of them on the bike. It can be done, right? But the problem with that is you're just not going to have enough bike time to be able to get the most out of those energy systems, okay, if you're not a professional racer. If you're a professional racer, you can do sprint days and you can have longer distance days and you can work both energy systems and get enough volume with those over the week to not have to do all this stuff in the gym or focus on it as much. But for you guys that aren't, they're just going riding once a week and you've got a real job to do during the week, like not riding and racing, then you're not going to be able to do that. So the way that you can do this is, for example, like rowing workouts. You can do short, sharp bursts of high intensity workouts during the week. So like a rowing workout, you could do 20 seconds on, 40 seconds off, and do 10 rounds, 15 rounds. Hey, Jason, okay, 20 rounds, and build your anaerobic energy system that way. If you need to build longer distance cardio, then you can do like a half-hour row or a 20-minute row and build your aerobic energy system. Now, again, the reason we do that in the gym is because you're not going to be doing, if you're not getting on the bike 4 or 5 times a week to build enough fitness, then we need to find an alternate form of training to get those systems working, even though you're not actually on the bike. So you could do 1 ride on the weekend and do 3 training sessions during the week, and that equates to four workouts, okay, or 4 lots of fitness if we include your 1 ride. And so that's what I work on with our guys there, to improve, to have more consistent technique. And for those of you that race, when you've got consistent technique, that's the bit that will allow you to get good results. I speak to people a lot that are like, yeah, I've got the speed and I've got the ability, but I don't get the results. The reason you don't get results is because you're not consistent with your speed and ability. And that comes down to being consistent with your technique, which is improving your, part of it is improving your cardio system. Third area, if you're enjoying this, guys, please give the video a like. Lets me know that the information you're getting on this video is helpful, and also lets me see who's on the video as well, because Facebook doesn't always tell me. Third thing, recharge quickly. You need to be able to recharge quickly. So if you're doing enduro events, okay, you're doing 3 or 4 hour enduros or doing transmotos like they had on the weekend, and there's some coming up, you need to be able to recharge quickly. Okay, so whether it's for fuel stops or whether you're doing a transmoto in a team and you need to refuel quickly, or maybe it's something different where, like maybe doing a motocross event and you're doing three races and a practice in a day, or 2 races and a practice in a day, and you need to recharge quickly between races. So what this comes down to is you need to have a nutrition strategy. So you need to know how to fuel yourself before a ride and also after every ride as well. Okay, so you might be consistent with your technique, you might be able to make the bike feel lighter, but if you can only do that for one ride or one lap out, or an hour out on an enduro race, then you're going to struggle to get the results that you're after with your riding and racing. So what I recommend, before every ride, half an hour to an hour, we want to increase simple carbs. Okay, things like fruits, could be a carb gel, carb drink, carb powder that you use. We want to have that before a race, and then directly after a race, you want to be able to have your protein shake. Either you can have it with water or have it with a carb drink, okay, or with, a carb gel again. So we've got a really nice system there of where maximizing energy, maximizing recovery, and we're just using that system all the way through race day. Even if you're doing enduros, apply the same system. Okay, you guys are going to have fuel stops or breaks throughout the day, or if you're doing like transmotos in a team, you'll have the time there to refuel. Any questions, guys? I'm just going to do a quick recap, but any questions, guys, post up below and I'm going to answer them for you now, live. First of all, make the bike feel lighter, okay? You can lose weight, body weight, and do it that way, or work on getting yourself stronger. If you get yourself stronger, that makes the bike feel lighter, which means you use a lot less energy. Second one is you need to be consistent with technique, okay? And the way that you do that is you need to remove fatigue. Okay, or reduce fatigue. And we do that through cardio. And that cardio building needs to be done in the gym because we're not getting enough hours on the bike to develop those energy systems. And then third is you need to be able to recharge quickly. So it's making sure you've got a good way to fuel yourself before a ride and a good way to recover after a ride. So all of that work you've done with the first two, with the cardio and the strength work, you can apply them over to your riding and racing. And consistently throughout the day, I guess, is the most important thing. Any questions, guys? Anything I can help you guys with at all? And while we're on that topic of helping, if any of you guys would like some help with the things that I've talked about, if you need help making the bike feel lighter and getting stronger or dropping body weight, you need help improving your cardio and improving the right energy systems off the bike because you're not spending a shit ton of hours riding every week, and you need help with the nutrition system to make sure that you can actually fuel yourself properly when you go on a ride and get the results that you're capable of, then you can apply to work with me via the coaching application that I just put in the comments. It's just a quick form that gets a few details from you about what you're working towards with your riding, your racing, where you're having trouble, and then I'll see if I can help or not. So you can feel free to fill that out in the comments. Any questions though, guys? What do we got? Any questions at all that I can help you guys with? There's a few of you on here, so I'll hang around for a little bit. Any training, riding, racing questions? Anything at all that I can help you guys with? I'll just check on my computer that everything's working smoothly. Sometimes the questions don't come through, which is always a pain. Anything at all, guys? Any questions? Any questions at all? Okay, looks pretty quiet. Maybe not. If you do have any questions and you're watching the replay, feel free to post them up below. I do check some of the older videos that I've put together, so feel free to post them up. Otherwise, as I said, if you'd like some help with your training and you don't have hours and hours and hours to spend on the bike every week and you need a better way, fill out the coaching form below and we can go from there. Oh, Gareth, you just snuck in. Do you recommend for strength building to follow more of a 5x5? You can use a 5x5. The problem is with all strength training protocols, so there's heaps of strength training programs you can use. You can use, there's like the Jim Wendler strength training program. You can do, it's like the Bill Starr 5x5 program. You can work to heavy singles. There's a whole heap of different strength workouts you can do. At the end of the day though, what I do with my riders anyway, is that we work on 4-week cycles. And the reason we do that is majority of riders will adapt to their training. So if you do like a 5x5, for example, and you train 3 times a week, and you do that for 4 weeks, for example, there's going to come a point in time where you stall out, okay, where you plateau, where you just can't increase the weights anymore. So then you need to do something else. You can't just keep doing 5x5 all year round because you're not going to see the progress that you're after. So the strength program that you follow always needs to be changing and adapting for the rider. So what I do is I do ours in 4-week blocks. So every 4 weeks we follow a specific set and rep cycle for our strength work and with our conditioning work as well. And then 4 weeks time we'll change that. We'll focus on different movements, different sets, different reps. So same with the movements. You don't want to be doing the same movements all the time. You want to have 4-week blocks because again, your body gets used to doing particular movements, and we don't want it to get used to doing particular movements. So we just want to have slight variation. So you might do a normal deadlift and then a sumo deadlift. We might work on a back squat and then front squats. That's just an example. But you want to make sure all year long you have those rotating roughly every 4 weeks. So hopefully that helps, guys. As I said, anyone who's interested in, would like some help and you don't have a shit ton of hours to spend on the bike to build fitness, Rick, geez, you guys good at jamming in the questions just as I'm about to wrap up. Rick, how does your energy fitness feel at an elite level during a race? Lap times can but don't really tell me how the rider is feeling. I'm not quite sure what you're asking, Rick. How does your energy/fitness feel at an elite level during a race? Lap times can, but don't really tell me how the rider is feeling. Sure. So one of the things with fitness, and I get this here and there with riders, especially when I first start working with them, is it doesn't matter how fit you are, races will always be hard, okay? And any type of fitness activity will always be hard. So for the guys that are really fit, even for professional races, you'll see them, even if you just watch, like, say, the Pro Motocross on the weekend. You see them, and they're all sweaty, okay? Luke Clout was there who won, or had a clean sweep in one of the races. They had a chair they had 2 sprint races, and they had a chair for him there to sit down on and have a rest and have some, I think he was having Gatorade and lollies, okay, as his carbohydrate source between those motos. And you can see, like, he's sweaty, like he's just been working hard. That's why I had the chair there for him to sit down. Same with any other race. You see pictures of Toby Price who has longer hair, like they're sweaty and worn out. Even though these guys are fit and that's what they do for a living, they're still worn out. It's still hard work. The reason it's hard work still, no matter how fit you are, is because you're working at 100%, okay? Or working at 90% or 95% of your ability. So no matter how fit you are, 100% is 100%. 100% is still hard work. It's just that my 100%, your 100%, and someone else's 100% are all going to be at different levels. So, like, I could get my grandma giving 100% effort to smash out some burpees, and I could give 100% and smash out some burpees. Obviously, I'm going to smash out some more burpees because she's nearly 90 years old, right? That doesn't mean I'm giving any more effort and she's giving less effort. We're both giving the same effort. We're both giving 100%. It's just that our 100% are very different. So it's the same for, say, maybe for you, Rick, for example, or for someone that has a job during the week compared to a professional racer. You could still give 100% on the bike and they still give 100% on the bike, or you still give 100% in training and they give 100% in training. It's just your 100% are very different, okay? Or maybe a little bit different, depending on where your fitness and where your ability is. So lap times being consistent isn't always an indicator of fitness. If I ride at 50% of my normal speed, I can keep consistent laps. If I ride 100% of my normal speed, it's going to be very hard for me to keep consistent laps. Same for a professional racer. They're not riding at 100% for half an hour motos. Okay, they're not riding at their absolute limit for half an hour. They're below that. Okay, could be 90%, could be 95%, could be 98%, but it's not an all-out pace. Arm pump's your biggest downfall. So you need to fix it then, Rick. You need to get to work. Get the right training, Maybe it's riding. If you're not riding enough, maybe you need to be riding once a week if you're not doing that already. Otherwise, then it comes down to doing the right training, the right exercises. Could be stretches, could be strength, could be cardio, could be nutrition, depending on what you need to work on. So hopefully that answers your question anyway. I noticed a few more guys jumped on. So is there any other questions, guys? Anything else I can help with at all? Any other questions? Or is that all we got for today? Since everyone keeps sneaking questions in before I'm about to wrap up. Cool. All right. Well, we might leave it there then. Sweet. Hopefully you guys enjoyed today's call. As I said, coaching application form below for those of you that are interested. Otherwise, hope you enjoyed the video and got some value from it. And you bet I'll be putting more together. I'll chat to you guys soon. See ya.